Our objectives are clear. We will do more to help those who start with less, starting from young, and ensure that every citizen has a fair share in Singapore's success. We will do more to give the elderly a sense of security and provide special recognition to the pioneer generation of Singaporeans who worked with lower wages and built up the nation. And even as we intervene boldly, we will ensure that our policies can be funded and sustained well into our children's generation. We have a good starting point. While the more mature economies built up large debts during their rapid growth years and when their populations were young, we did the opposite. We built up savings. They will now have to take significant sums from their budgets each year, at least 2% of GDP, of revenues taken out of the budget, to service these national debts. We are in the opposite position of being able to obtain 2% of GDP from the income on our reserves to spend each year on our social and economic priorities. Let's keep clearly in mind a few priorities as we go forward, so that we ensure that policies for a fair society are not just for 2 or 3 electoral terms, but for generations ahead. First, we should continue to target subsidies at those who need them the most, instead of committing to benefits for all. Universal benefits are not just wasteful, but inequitable. They're also hard to take away once given. Even in the UK today, with the Conservatives in government, they have found it too difficult to cut entitlements that benefit the upper middle class and rich elderly, despite severe fiscal pressures. Secondly, we should design spending and subsidies in ways that reinforce individual effort and responsibility for the family, values that keep our society strong. This is not about leaving things to self-reliance or about leaving families to face uncertainties on their own. It is a strategy of government support for efforts by individuals to learn and achieve their aspirations, to own a home by working and paying down a loan, and to save for their retirement needs. It may be a paradox, but this paradox of active government support for self-reliance has to run through all our social policies. It is how we help people to stand with pride and contribute to society. Third, the government must, for the same reason, find every way to catalyze and support community initiative for a fair and just society. One of the paradoxes of the welfare state has indeed been the way an active state has freed people from the social and moral bonds of family and local community. We must strengthen, not weaken, the values that drive us to be our brother's keepers. Our tax incentives and grants must continue to support the community and civic sector, and aggressively so. Fourth priority, we must maintain a progressive system of taxes and benefits. It is in fact more progressive than meets the eye. For instance, take our income taxes. Our top marginal tax rate of 20% is low when compared to many other countries. But in fact, our income tax schedule includes workfare, or negative income taxes for lower wage workers. If you're older and of lower income, you get a 20 to 30% credit from the government through workfare. So our income tax schedule is really 50 percentage points wide, from 20% for the top income bracket all the way down to minus 30%. This progressivity in our system is even more so when we add in housing grants, which are the second major pillar of our social strategies. The housing grants provide significant mortgage savings for lower income couples. Taking workfare together with these housing grants, we are effectively providing low-income couples, those at the 10th percentile of the income ladder, with benefits equal to about 30% of their lifetime incomes. This is in fact a conservative estimate, as it does not take into account the appreciation and the value of their homes, which even with modest assumptions imply significantly greater lifetime benefits, significantly greater benefits coming out of that initial endowment of a grant. It also does not account for the other subsidies that they receive, which substantially outweigh the taxes they pay through the GST. We will preserve and build on this progressive system of taxes and subsidies in future, even when we eventually, in future terms of government, find it necessary to raise revenues to support our growing healthcare needs. Finally, we cannot think about a fair society purely in wage or income terms or redistributional terms. It is also about people having access to quality living in public spaces. It is about the ability and opportunity to keep learning no matter how old you are, even if you are not learning for the purpose of work, because there is something inherently satisfying about learning as an individual human being. It is about developing a spirit of fellowship and togetherness as our young grow up in schools. It has to include a workplace culture that treats employees with respect, including our blue-collar workers. And it must include Singaporeans pursuing causes which they feel lead to a better society and wanting to do something to help their fellow citizens see a better life. So let me conclude. We are in transition as a society. We are no longer a developing nation, but we are not yet truly an advanced nation because our level of productivity, our skills, and the wages of our ordinary workers are not there yet. We face many challenges. Can we keep median incomes growing at a healthy pace and avoid what has happened elsewhere, not just in the advanced economies, but also in the Asian NIEs? Can we keep social mobility going, even as many amongst past generations of poor Singaporeans have already succeeded in moving up? There is no assurance that we will succeed. There is no assurance that we will succeed, but that makes it all the more necessary that we put all we can into succeeding. We are starting from a position of strength, not despair. We have one of the best education systems in the world, and we have the most successful public housing program in the world. We are, by international reckonings, one of the best or one of the better healthcare systems in the world. We also have the lowest rate of unemployment amongst developed societies, including Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Korea. But whether we do better at the end of the day will not just be a result of whether we've got the right policies and incentives, the right taxes and subsidies, but whether we retain a culture of responsibility in our society and the spirit of fellowship that I spoke about. We all play a part in keeping ours a fair and just society and taking pride in making it so. Thank you very much.